It's the holidays, and that means TV specials. And when it comes to Christmas, few have had the lasting power of the Rankin Bass Christmas specials. Every year on TV or on streaming or wherever you can find them these days, the Rankin Bass specials have become a staple of Christmas. Rudolph, Frosty the Snowman, the Miser Brothers, Jack Frost, all your favorites. They're some of the most beloved characters ever and have brought joy for generations. They're all great and they've become a holiday tradition. But when I was a kid, there was one in particular that I looked forward to the most. 1985's The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus, a 50-minute special based on the book by L. Frank Baum, though I think that book gets overlooked because he wrote something else that you might have heard of called The Wonderful World of Oz. Yeah, I'd say that's a bit more popular. It was done in stop motion just like a lot of the other specials, and it has some of the more interesting visuals and character designs of them all. And because it was a Rankin Bass production in the 80s, it also has the novelty of having Thundercats voice actors.
Call upon me whenever you have need, Claus.
Who dares call on us and has the power to force us into visibility?
He is a very special child, Necile, and I'm sure he will grow up to be a very special mortal man.
You are right, Great Ack. I vote yes.
In the Laughing Valley of Ho-Ha-Ho, there is always snow because it is always winter.
But this tree with its decorations will remind you of how we delivered our toys to children all over the world.
You know, it's really weird knowing that the voice of Mum-Ra also voiced Santa Claus. I think that basically equates to the Santa Claus from Futurama.
Santa has something very special in his sack for you two.
The story is about a baby abandoned in the woods that gets raised by some fae folk and other creatures of the forest. But when he gets older, he's taken out of the forest and is shown that the world of man can be a cruel and uncaring place. Yeah, good thing it's not like that now. After seeing this, he decides to dedicate his life to bringing joy to people wherever he can, and spoilers, he grows up to be Santa Claus. I've always enjoyed adaptations that dive into the origins and even lore of Santa Claus. In fact, some of the best Christmas movies I've seen go into that. And given my track record with Christmas reviews, I was going to review that because it's something that I know I like. But then I found out there's another version. Released in the future year of 2000 and distributed by Universal, this was a direct-to-video movie produced by Mike Young Productions, now known as Splash Entertainment, who's known for quite a few things from great stuff like the 2002 Masters of the Universe reboot, to stuff that's not so great like Norm of the North. Unlike the Rankin Bass version, this one is animated traditionally and has a longer running time. Sadly, no Thundercats voice actors though, but we get a lot of the good old standbys of voice acting, like Maurice LaMarche, Carlos Alazraqui, Kath Sose, Jess Harnell, and even Jim Cummings as the voice of Old Santa Claus.
I guess everyone is entitled to their secrets. Now, why don't you clean up and get busy? I need some help here. We really don't have time for all this playing around, you know.
Well, I've never seen it before. It's based on one of my favorite Christmas stories. So, I guess we'll check it out. And while we're at it, we'll see how well it holds up against the Rankin Bass version. Both versions are told through narration by the Great Ack, which sounds like a noise you make when you have a cough, but that's his name. He's the leader of the forest, and he recounts how he found the abandoned baby. The difference is, in the Rankin Bass version, he's talking to a council of other spirits and immortals, but in this version, he's talking to the audience, I guess?
Oh, forgive me for not introducing myself. I am Ack, the Master Woodsman, overlord of all the creatures of this hidden world.
That's right, mortals. Your puny fourth wall can't contain me. I'm a god! After he finds the baby, he leaves him with a lioness named Shiegra so he can be protected and have her milk. Because I guess fairies and wood nymphs don't produce milk? That's something I really didn't need to think about.
Creatures of the woods, know that this child is protected for all time by Ak, Master of the Realm.
None of you better eat this baby. I mean it. I'm looking at you, Mr. Bear. You come near this kid and I'll turn you into a rug. But then one of the wood nymphs named Necile becomes fascinated by the baby and convinces Ak to let her help raise him because human children require more than lion milk to survive. One big difference between the two versions is here she kind of asks nicely, but in the Rankin Bass version, she just straight up steals the baby from Shiegra, and somehow doesn't get mauled by her. Yeah, the newer one did that a little bit better, but this is about where I started having some problems with the newer version. For one, the voice acting is unimpressive. I know that sounds strange considering the voice talent in this movie, but a few of the characters don't stand out as much as they should. For example, Ak has a very gentle voice and sounds like a kindly old man.
Nicholas, it is time for us to make a journey together, to visit those from whom you are descended.
While he does have a kind nature, compare that to the Rankin Bass version. He still sounds kind, but his voice has some weight and authority behind it.
You were always as you are now, Necile, as immortals will always be. And you know nothing of children because there are none among us.
Though one voice I thought was improved was young Santa Claus. He's voiced by Robbie Benson, who does a great job.
If only there were something I could leave behind. Something to cheer them and remind them I'll be back.
Compared to the Rankin Bass version, where he's voiced by a young J.D. Roth, who sounds kind of shrill and whiny.
So these are mortals. Do they all act this way towards one another? It seems so cruel compared to our world.
Oh, you sweet summer child. Just wait till they invent the internet. There's gonna be a lot of people on the naughty list this year. I should also point out that they gave Shiegra a voice in this one, and I feel like that was unnecessary.
I do tire of this task. Human infants are quite loud at times.
The voice acting wasn't bad or anything, but it just doesn't have the same presence as the Rankin Bass version has. It was just a bit bland in places, but not as bland as the character designs. In the Rankin Bass version, the characters have varied and interesting designs. Sure, some of the puppets look the same, but it had a good aesthetic. In the new version, everything just has a generic fantasy design. Necile looks like she should be hanging out with Tinkerbell and all the other Disney fairies nobody remembers the names of. In the story, there are these creatures called Nooks, which I guess are another type of wood sprite. In the Rankin Bass version, they have tails and are hunched over. They look weird and otherworldly. In this version, they're just gnomes, or dwarves, or, I don't know, generic short fantasy creatures. It's boring. One of the biggest downgrades has got to be to the immortals that I mentioned earlier. In the Rankin Bass version, they have unique and varied designs. The Wind Demon in particular always stood out to me. He's scary looking, though it's implied that he's not malevolent.
Your story touches even my cold and windy heart.
Here's what they look like in this version. If you showed me this without any context, I'd assume I was looking at the Greek gods or something. Again, boring. But the biggest of all has got to be to the Aguas, who are mischievous creatures that hate children and like getting them in trouble. This is what they look like in the Rankin Bass version. A bit goofy, but if you saw one, you'd probably freak out. In this version, they're just like rock monsters or something. The lack of imagination here is astounding, though granted they're not exactly complex characters.
All these happy children make me sick.
But we can keep them from making the children happy.
We're one-dimensional jerks.
Make sure Santa Claus visits you this year. The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus, a brand new holiday tradition, as magical as Christmas itself.
There were some other big differences between the two. In the Rankin Bass version, they named the baby Claus.
I will call him Claus, for in the language of our forest it means little one, little Claus.
Yeah, considering who he grows up to be, that name's not going to last very long. In this version, they do call him that, but they change it to Nicholas, and they even comment on how that name wouldn't hold up.
Little one, however, did not apply for long. as he grew rapidly as humans do.
In the Rankin Bass version, Claus has a companion named Tingler who knows all of the languages of the world, of both man and animal.
What's it gonna be today? Squirrel? Bee songs? Woodflower poetry? Or elephant?
All wrong. Torto. Incorrecto. Falsch. All wrong. Finch.
Oh, oui, Monsieur Tingler.
Not French. Finch.
Well, at least he's not a middle-aged man in green spandex. But in this version, he's joined by a little shape-shifting guy called Whisk, who is a bit of a prankster. Though personally, I don't think either of them add much to the story. They're mostly there for comic relief. And I should mention at this point that I've never read the original book, so I don't know which version is more accurate to the source material. But, you know, sometimes adaptations make changes, and sometimes things work, and sometimes they don't. However, where the Mike Young version excels is in its extended scenes. Like I said, this one is longer and it uses its time pretty well. So we get a lot of scenes where Nicholas meets new people, plays with some children, and tries to bring cheer to people that need it. We also see how his workshop grows and how he got his reindeer. There are even some good moments of character development, like when Nicholas gets back from seeing the world and realizing that people don't have it as good as he does, which makes him want to help others.
I have been blessed, Mother, but other human children lead such sad lives. I wish I could do something to help them, but I have no magic.
There's also better use of the characters, like we see Necile a lot more, whereas in the Rankin Bass version, she's pretty much only seen in the beginning and at the very end. At least I think. Like I said, a lot of the puppets look the same, so she might be there. I don't know. Probably one of the best scenes was when Shiegra visited Nicholas before she died, and he carved her likeness into a toy so that she could be remembered forever.
Farewell, my son. You have made me very happy. Very proud.
What's weird, though, is that Nicholas gets a cat when he moves into his new cottage, which might be immortal because it stays with him longer than a cat should live. And Shiegra got a raw deal.
For Nicholas, a new friend for your new home. Axe says that humans like these, so I hope you like her too.
Yes, humans love them, but we're not entirely sure why. They don't really do anything. And there are some genuinely touching moments in this, which are enhanced by the great facial expressions. For as bland as I said this looked, they do manage to convey emotion very effectively. One of my favorite improvements was to the battle the forest folk have against the Aguas. It's not the best animated battle I've seen, but it does feel big and important. I'm guessing in the Rankin Bass version they were held up by the limits of the stop motion at the time, because it feels kind of awkward. Oh, Ack is wielding a big old axe. Is he gonna chop someone up? Nope, it's a laser axe. Obviously. But I think the best part of this movie is when a rich girl comes to him wanting a toy, even though he only makes toys for needy children. But he decides to make her a doll in the likeness of Necile, which I guess she was cool with. But years later, after the Aguas steal his toys, she finds out that there's a toy shortage, so she brings the doll back to him so he can give it to someone else who needs it.
You are so kind. You know, if everyone shared with those less fortunate, this world would be a much better place.
And that's what this story is about. It teaches the importance of giving and how it affects others. This is something even the immortals believe in. Rather than look down on humanity like most stories do, they see us more in need of guidance. I like that. It's very anti-cynical.
He has taught the children the importance of giving, of caring, of hope, and believing. If we allow Nicholas to die, the children yet to come will never know these gifts. And I fear the human world will plunge into a time of hopelessness again.
And so to allow Nicholas to continue his work, he's granted immortality, and I guess the rest is history. So that's the life and adventures of Santa Claus. It's a great Christmas tale that sadly doesn't get talked about as much. But which version was better? Honestly, I don't know. Looking at them side by side, they have some significant differences. Where one succeeds, the other falls short, and vice versa. I keep bouncing back and forth between them. If only we can combine them somehow, like take the extended scenes and better use of characters from the Mike Young version and the visual direction from the Rankin Bass version and make it perfect. I've heard there were some other adaptations in the works over the years, but they seem to have been scrapped. It's a shame because I wouldn't mind seeing someone take another crack at this. So, I guess I'd recommend either one. Yeah, despite all shortcomings like the blandness of the Mike Young version and the parts of the Rankin Bass version that even I'll admit don't hold up very well, I think they're both very watchable. However, while this one is pretty easy to come by, the Rankin Bass version is a bit more difficult. You can find it online, but if you want it in decent quality, you'll need the DVD, but it can be a bit pricey. It's a shame there's not one big collection of the Rankin Bass specials available. They seem to be spread out amongst several DVD releases. But whichever one you choose, it's still a great story, an interesting take on the origins of Santa Claus, and it has an important message about giving to others in need. And let's be honest, after the year we've all had, that's an important thing to be reminded of. And that concludes Cartoon Clip Show for the year. Wasn't a very good one, was it? But I don't think you need me to tell you that. My release schedule kinda took a hit for a number of reasons. I did move, so I guess that's something. And I might have said this last year, but I'm gonna say it again. Hopefully next year will be better. But until then, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and I will see you in 2021.
Toy cats and wagons and horses and dragons, plus dolls of every color, shape, and size. Pack